Good morning, I'm Ferdi Salvador. Welcome to Industry Beacon, where we shine a light on the trailblazers, the disruptors, and the leaders shaping our future. And in each episode, we explore how they're staying ahead in their fields, one industry at a time. This morning, we take a look at efforts aimed at bridging the financial inclusion gap here in the Philippines with one of the top leading apps in the country. Since its launch, JuanHand has granted loans to individuals who are not usually catered by traditional financial institutions. Through accessible and convenient financial assistance, JuanHand empowers Filipinos by lending a helping hand to those in need. And joining us now is Coco Mauricio, President and CEO of JuanHand. Coco, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think this is a very important topic in our country right now. So, give us the background of Coco Mauricio before going into the financial industry. Where did you come from?
Well, first of all, good morning, Ferdi. Nice seeing you again.
Nice to see you.
So very quickly, about my background, FMCG background the whole time during the pandemic, transitioned into fintech.
Okay.
I started my own and eventually joined forces with Finvolution, who's actually the owners of WeFund, who owns JuanHand.
Wow, that's a lot of transitions. And you know what? You're looking younger as ever, and wow, it means to say that business is good.
Hey, probably have the same gray hair, no? Just like keeping it a bit, hiding it.
That's genetic. Tell me, Coco, what's JuanHand's business model?
In one statement, it's basically serving the underserved yet credit-worthy.
Okay.
And it's all about financial inclusion. So that's the space we operate in. And in my words, it's a wild, wild west of financial services.
Okay.
So we cater to those who actually no one practically caters to.
Such as?
Right? So these are usually the ones who are what we call invisibles, or the ones who can't provide documentation to go to the bank. So usually basically the unbanked. Yeah.
I don't know if you have the data at the top of your head. How many Filipino citizens are actually unbanked?
Okay, so with the BSP data, right? So they're saying right now, I think the latest is about 60 to 70% are banked. So about 30 to 40% are banked. But if you really look and drill into this a bit further, that 60 to 70% that's banked, those are a lot of them are usually just banked because employers, for example, place their salary in an ATM.
Yes.
But the only banking transaction they do is withdraw from that ATM. So they're kind of like semi-unbanked, right? So I would say in real terms, the majority of the Filipinos are unbanked, maybe about 60%. You switch that ratio.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And there's a lot of growth potential there economically.
That's right.
Because, of course, first world countries, I'm sure they've got a tiny percentage of those are invisibles, as you mentioned. What sets you apart as a financial app? That's what I'm going to call it.
Okay, yeah, it is a financial app. Strictly speaking, from a government terms, we're called an OLP.
Okay.
Or an OLA, OLP online lending platform, or an online lending application. So it's a special license. We're governed by the SEC.
Yes.
That's given to lending or financing companies and to allow you to offer your services via your phone or via an app. And so that's how we operate. That's how we offer our financial services. Yeah.
And what kind of loans do you normally give out? Is there different categories or?
Yeah, I actually would like to call it nano loans.
Nano,
right?
okay,
So,
explain nano loans to me.
So nano loans, the ticket size or the amount usually for a new borrower is about 2,000 pesos.
Okay.
And depending on your credit history and profile, it goes all the way up to 50,000 pesos. And then we usually don't ask any sort of documentation except one valid ID.
Yes.
So you just download the app, fill in the fields, upload one valid ID, well, some sort of OCR or optical character recognition, where you take a picture or image or video of your face on your phone, and basically that's it. So if you're a new borrower, from downloading the app all the way to getting your money in your designated e-wallet or bank, it takes no longer than 5 minutes. And if you're a repeat borrower, it takes no longer than 45 seconds.
Wow.
And, yeah, usually the tenor, or sorry, the payment terms are 30 days to 120 days.
Well, well, number one, 2,000 pesos all the way to 50,000 pesos. That's a wide range.
Yeah.
If you're talking about thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that you're giving out loans to,
Yeah.
right? And how long has the company JuanHand been operating?
So formally about July 2019. So we celebrated our 5th year anniversary this year.
Well, from 5 years, what was your loan outs on the first year compared to now?
Okay, I can give a range,
Yes.
right? So initially on the first year of operations, we were below 100 in terms of loan disbursements. We're about below 100 million pesos. Now we've disbursed more than 30 billion.
30 billion
Pesos a
pesos, Coco. Okay.
Yeah, maybe much more actually. Yeah.
That one, if I were in your shoes, I would not be able to sleep well at night because that's a lot of responsibility. Because obviously, the invisibles or unbanked individuals are, it's a high risk.
Yeah.
That's a high risk for 30 billion.
So yeah, now it's actually more than, with the latest figures, about over 60 billion. Yeah.
I will definitely not be able to sleep, Coco. But obviously, what's driving the growth spurt here?
Well, Ferdi said there's really a lot of underserved and unbanked,
Yes.
right? And so right now, when they need financial assistance, it goes through various informal lending channels like 5-6 or
Yes.
medyo palawagan or borrowing from friends and family. So it's really a huge market out there from the informal sector. So we're right now just making it a bit more convenient, faster,
Yes.
more professional in terms that, hey, come on, if someone actually borrows from 5-6 and you don't pay,
They're hunting you every
repercussions-
day.
Yeah. You get embarrassed. They shame you. So these are the things that we don't want to happen to the Filipinos.
Yes, in fact, even on online social media platforms.
Oh, yeah.
They
That's
they actually point you out, call you out by name, and
Yes.
tell them, hey, you haven't paid X amount for I don't know how long. I mean, that's to me.
That's actually sad, right? It's sad because I think everyone deserves financial assistance and to be given in a polite, professional manner, right? So we believe in JuanHand that lending is a force for good.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, when someone needs financial assistance, eventually, as they mature, it becomes there's financial freedom, financial empowerment, and ultimately uplifting their lives, right? So, and that's what we believe in, and I think that's what Filipinos deserve. So there's a lot of market out there. If you ask different institutions, they can tell you the market size of the underserved in varying degrees. Conservatively, some would estimate it as a 300 billion peso
Wow.
industry, and that's extremely conservative. Others, depends on who you ask, it can go to about 800 to 900 billion. So there's really a lot, and that's loan book size, right? So there's really a lot of opportunity out there to serve the underserved.
Yeah. So for somebody, okay, for example, I'm gonna ask for a loan from you, right? Do you look at what their loan purpose is? Is it for business? Is it for a personal expense? Do you ask them or?
Oh, great. So actually, in one of the fields, right, in the app, we get to ask you what is the purpose, what are you using the loan for? So top 3 answers is number 1, usually for utilities, Ferdi, right? So to pay for electricity, to pay for water, internet.
Yes.
The second one is actually for emergency, right?
Medical.
So, there you go.
Yeah.
You've spotted. So whether for themselves or their families, right? And the third one is other family needs, like tuition
Yes.
for the kids, kasi back to school now or something, or Christmas, right? So those are usually the top 3 things where our type of loan is being used for.
I love this because you said you're doing a greater good for our Filipino citizens. I guess now they can rest easy that they don't have to give you a promissory note and and stuff like that. But what is your, based on your data, what's the age bracket that normally asks for these financial assistance from
Yeah,
one hand?
so usually screen out, of course, through regulatory compliance, we screen out, of course, below 18 and non-Filipino. So
Yes.
this is really for the Filipino underserved. And so our target is, in terms of demographics, is class C, broad C, right? And so usually these are, well, 50-50 split, male and female, between 20 to 45 years old. 60% of them employed. Yeah, so some white collar, some blue collar workers. Right now, JuanHand's profile is over 60% of our borrowers are within Metro Manila and Greater Manila area. And yeah, so the rest is in North and South Luzon and Vismin, right? So that's why we believe that we're still underpenetrated, because this shouldn't be the split. Yeah, it should be
And
about
how do you
50-50.
put your word out there?
We were very heavy on digital advertising from all the top social media channels to digital customer acquisition efforts. Yeah.
Yeah, this is, I find this topic amazing because, you know, bridging financial freedom with the invisibles and where their business potential can rise to is helped out by one hand.
Right.
What's the percentage of people asking for loans to finance their businesses? Like sari-sari stores.
Right.
That.
Oh, that's, okay, again, that's a fantastic point that you make, right? So we really still have to filter out, right, in terms of the exact percentage. But a lot of our borrowers, and so far in terms of figures, we have over 60 million downloads, 15 million registrations. At any given time, Ferdi JuanHand has over 2 million customers.
That's massive.
Yeah, we're right now the leading pure fintech cash lender in the Philippines. And so when you look at this profile, so yeah, so a lot of them are really, the employed, and a lot of who we serve are actually, the good profile of our borrowers are actually women.
Okay.
Women between 25 to 45 years old, married, with
Homemakers.
kids. Yes, because what we found out is that they're either sari-sari store owners, online sellers, and use the money for their families.
Is this because they are the, I don't want to use the term shock absorbers for the family's financial burden, because it is sometimes, you know, the mother of the household that, okay, let me take this on and let me find a way to ease our family financial burden, right? So that's an interesting topic to talk about, because these women are always, okay, what am I spending on the food, the utilities, as you mentioned, a child needs medical care, a child needs education. So it filters down to that particular individual. And I'm not surprised that women actually make up a high percentage of your customer profile.
Of good customer profile.
Good customer
profile.
profile.
It's great actually lending out to women. It actually gets to, it serves good use, right? Especially the profile I gave. And so yeah, and to your question in terms of, are we hitting sari-sari store owners to develop nano or micropreneurs out there? We are, right? So I would think, on a rough survey that we had, about 20% actually of our borrowers are either sari-sari store owners or online sellers on any of the top 3 e-commerce platforms. Wow. So yeah, so in a way we're powering entrepreneurship.
Nice. You're the patron saint of sari-sari stores, but we're going to take a quick break. Industry Beacon will be right back. Welcome back to Industry Beacon. We're still joined by Coco Mauricio, President and CEO of JuanHand. We were talking about earlier, you know, your good borrowers and stuff like that. But on the other hand, you know, you get, even on your own mobile phone, you get warnings about scammers. You know, don't share your OTP with just anyone. How do you prevent these concerns when dealing with JuanHand or your customers' fears of getting scammed?
Yeah, so That's a relevant question nowadays, especially in the holiday season when there's a lot of online shopping, there's
Yes.
a lot of usage of online lending platforms. So first of all, we educate, right, through our various also digital channels on how to avoid being scammed. Like, don't click on links
Yes.
that come from questionable sources. Don't give out your OTP to others. Remember, when you're trying to borrow from a company, check, it's actually widely available, for example, on the SEC website, who are the registered and licensed lending companies and online lending platforms. Call their customer service. Do they have a physically verifiable office, right? Do they have live customer service agents based in the Philippines? So there's like really various ways for people to determine if the ones, especially lending companies specifically, if the lending companies they're dealing with are legit, so
Yes.
that they don't get scammed. But a step back to that, generally to avoid being scammed, just don't click on anything that's actually not questionable. If you get, oh, claim this price, click this link, so things like that. Don't give out OTP to others. The ones who are a bit more careful, let's say, and depends on what type of profile people are, but try to be careful on what you share on the web, right? On your Facebook, whatever, your Instagram.
That's where trouble starts if you
Because,
overshare.
For example, Ferdi Salvador celebrated his birthday today. Oh, I already know your name.
Yes.
I already know your birthday.
Exactly.
I already have your face. I can create already a persona of you, and I can use that to apply for a loan, right? And so things like that. But of course, on companies like us, like JuanHand, our AI is second to none. We have a really good anti-fraud technology that filters out these types of scammers. But all I'm saying is that to avoid scam, be very careful
Yes.
about information you place on the web.
So,
And, yeah.
so Coco, AI is actually a good facility for you to help out protect your customers.
I think as fintech, we're all about AI, and not all AIs for they are created the same.
Yes.
Right. So, for example, our AI can process loans, like what I said, for 5 minutes or less for a new user, for a repeat borrower, 45 seconds or less.
Yes.
We're able to filter out, because for us, right, we're uncollateralized, right? We're
Yes.
unsecured in that sense. You only need to fill in an application online, in the app, and then one valid ID. So our AI determines if you're telling the truth or not. Like Ferdi Salvador lives, for example, in this village in Makati. Our AI determines, is Ferdi telling the truth? Well, Ferdi's phone is in, let's say, San Lorenzo in Makati between 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. every day. Therefore, Ferdi might be most probably telling the truth, right? And then we scrape also your information from sources, whether digitally or sources that we pull from other
Yes.
legitimate, like, credit scoring companies, and we go, Ferdi says he's working for Billionario as a host. Oh yeah, it pans out, it aligns. And so these are the kinds of things that our AI can do, like gathering all these data points about you, identifying the persona that you are, and whether you're creditworthy or not, and then therefore make a decision to go or no go. And we can do it in like 5 seconds.
I'm going to try your app later.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please do. But hey, you're not underserved, but you might be rejected for having too much.
You never know. Okay. But talking about risks, you mentioned one word a while ago. How do you balance the risk between, your 2 million downloaded clients per day or something like that, and almost 60 billion pesos worth of exposure?
Yeah.
How do you balance that risk from the good payers and the bad payers?
Yeah, so with any business, there's always risk, right? So I think what determines the risk really, again, I hate to say that it's all about, again, AI.
Yes.
So first of all, it's filtering out the underserved. Of course, we want to serve the underserved, the invisibles, but it has to be side by side. It's a must, right? Hindi or, underserved and creditworthy. So how to balance that risk is determining the creditworthiness of all the applicants,
Yes.
right? And we determine that by the information you gave and see if it checks out, and it's getting all the data points, whether from your social media footprint, from your phone, from the information you gave, from your government ID, and that's how we assess it. And the more data points we have, then the smarter our machine gets, or the AI gets, and the more accurate it is. And that's and that actually manages our risk, right? So I think our risk framework or our default rate should be the gold standard industry. We have the lowest default rate of any pure fintech player in the market, and that's why a lot of banks who've never lent out to a fintech company before decided to partner with us, like Union Bank, Cbank, Maya. Because we believe in our AI.
Wow.
So that's one thing, right? Assessing who you are and
Yes.
if you're credit worthy. The second thing, madali magpa-utang,
Yes.
mahirap maningil.
Yes,
So our
exactly.
collection systems also, our proprietary collection system, again, is second to none. So we've developed that over 17 years. And so it has a very polite and systemic way of reminding you of the collection of T-7 until the day, and past due date, and how to remind you, promise to pay, and all these things. So I think all the combination of that manages our risk.
Okay, well, Coco, from nano loans, what about if there is, the lower side of SMEs? Okay,
Yes.
obviously, it won't be a 50,000 peso loan. Is JuanHand moving or thinking of also opening that market segment?
This is one thing that we really want to get into.
Okay.
I think because if we're talking about underserved, SMEs are underserved
Yes.
as a fact.
Yes.
Right? I think we're talking about earlier on a while back about more of the bank's portfolio should actually be used to loan out and lend out to the SMEs. So they are also underserved. We need to serve them. I think we do have our AI ready to assess the risk on serving the SMEs. It's a code that has to be cracked, and I think we're getting there. Because usually SMEs, okay, are they SMEs or are they individuals who are lending from you, right? So SMEs kasi, if you want to make sure that they're really SMEs, they have to provide DTI documents.
Yes, yes,
SEC.
yes.
So sometimes they either don't get to upload that or something like that. So it's how to really make it so easy for these SMEs and entrepreneurs to apply for a loan and then verifying and validating that they're really SMEs. So I think, yes, it's a market that we will enter very, very soon.
All right. Well, unfortunately, Coco, I'm going to have to ask you for your last question. And it's not a financial question.
Oh, okay.
What's your biggest mistake?
The biggest mistake in terms of in a fintech lending world,
Whatever it may be, life, fintech.
I'll stick to fintech for this. Because if it's personal, it'll be a lot of, we'll have the 3 more R's in terms of all my mistakes personally. But I think in the fintech is, I think sometimes our mission, we're really dedicated to the mission of financial inclusion. And at one point we loosened and we just stuck to the underserved, serving the underserved. And we made the risk assessment loose so that we can serve more of the underserved.
Nice.
Yes, it helped with the financial inclusion and rapid expansion of financial inclusion, but it's also not good for the business. So yeah, we have to, so in a way, we're becoming too noble to the point that, okay, it was a big risk. So if you look at it long term, yeah, short term is great. Wow, you're serving everyone, almost everyone. But long term, well, yeah, you serve everyone, but at the end of the day, it doesn't sustain the business. Then ultimately, you'll fizzle out. Then all the more you can't help.
It's all about the bottom line.
It's all bottom line that you use to invest back in the business,
Yes.
that can help more people in the long term.
Yes.
So I think it's that. I think it's at one point just losing out too much of the range of who we approve. So now it's really just identifying, again, like what I said, the end, underserved and creditworthy.
Yes. Thank you so much, Coco. You have educated me this morning.
No, thank you for having me.
All right. And that is it for today's show. I'm Ferdi Salvador. Catch the Billionaire News channel on Free TV Channel 31 and on cable via Cignal Channel 24. Thanks for watching the Billionaire News channel. Always on top.